John Cena has announced his retirement. Sort of quite randomly, really. He was on the WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and he announced that he was retiring from WWE. He made mention in media the last couple of years that basically he's not going to wrestle beyond 50. He gave himself a hard out, and he's one of the few people who's in a position who's got enough money that he never needs to wrestle or do anything again. So I suppose...
Unless he goes into hospital.
Yes.
And his insurance runs out.
Yes. Give him a few weeks. That'll all run out, I'm sure. So he clarified at the press conference that his retirement after this is the pay-per-view press conference doesn't end at next year's WrestleMania. Quote, it's not going to end at WrestleMania. That WrestleMania would be my last WrestleMania. But hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, we're going straight through from January to December. We're going to try to do a long list of dates. I think right now, tentatively, it's hovering in the mid-30s to 40s because I'm still trying to juggle a lot of stuff that's going on, and that'll be the end of my in-ring competition. Cena then stated he plans to stay involved with WWE after he retires from in-ring competition. Let's see if there's any more quotes worth me mentioning. Regarding the possibility of going heel during his retirement tour, Cena felt fans would see through it. Quote, I don't know how much impact that would have. Cena said, talking about turning heel, that goes heavily against what I value. I think you would see through it. Our fans have a great bullshit meter. Which is a good quote. I quite like that. So Cena's retirement then, I mean, he's more or less been retired for a few years now. He's just been in and out the last 3 years.
I actually love it that he announced it. This is it. And I think when Cena retires, his last match, I don't think we'll see him back in the ring anymore. He's not going to retire and then come out of retirement. And see, who perfected that was Terry Funk. Terry Funk has retired more times than, I don't know, what was that band who retired, announced a retirement tour, and then they're still...
Kiss?
Something like that.
Yeah, no, Kiss was retiring in like 25 years ago or something.
Oh,
crazy.
Yeah, and they've all done that. But I think with Cena, I don't think it'll happen. See, one thing Cena has built up is his faith with fans. They believe him if he says something, and they believe he's going to carry through with it. So since he announced this, and what they'll do, they'll put him at his last time in Chicago, which will be a massive sellout. And they'll build it around Cena, and they'll probably have a little presentation probably halfway through the show or maybe at the end of the show or whatever. And the people it'll be, if you're a wrestling fan and you're around Chicago, you want to go to this. I mean, I would. And then, of course, Madison Square Garden, and they will have it, and that'll be huge. And then Boston, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, all the big shows up north that the old WWF used to run. That was their towns. And then, of course, they run them everywhere else. So, and getting 30 dates or 40 dates out of that, it will be easy because any date they make will automatically sell out. And I think and they got to pick one pay-per-view that they're going to be on that he's going to retire on. They can't have him retire on every on every monthly pay-per-view. And I thought I was retired last month, but no, I'm really going to do it this time. But I think it's now it becomes its own world. It becomes its. I mean, they just got to, promote that with the match, and he can actually bring a talent and make a talent in this. As far as him being the champion and going for the 17. I'm mixed on that. I think he said the people will see through it, like seeing through wrestling. That's kind of hard to do. But even though he wants that number 17, and I think a lot of fans would like to see him get it.
Do the fans want that? Does WWE want that? Because there was a little theory going around that, on paper, Ric Flair's the 16-time world champion, and Ric Flair currently is somewhat on the outs with WWE. So, I mean, maybe this might be WWE's way sticking it to Flair and saying John Cena's the greatest of all time it's all made up, but because Ric Flair was 23 or whatever it was. But, in WWE canon, in WWE lore, they might want John Cena to overtake Flair.
So how many does Ric Flair have?
Right. Okay. So WWE still says 16. I did my own research. I came to the conclusion he had 23 viable
Flair.
title runs. Yes, Flair. Yeah, as world
In
champion.
WWE?
No. He only had 2 in WWE, but across
Okay.
NWA and all that.
Well, if you're just going to count that, hey, Jerry Lawler's had about 50.
And the rest,
Really?
I think it's like 130 or something crazy. He won and lost it like weekly. He probably won it and lost it over Christmas dinner one day.
Hey, Randy Savage beat me one time. I had a title, and the guy was a champion on TV, and I challenged him, and I beat him, and I held it maybe, I don't know, 3 minutes. And then Savage come out there and challenged me, and we started it, and he beat me, and of course he cheated, of course, beat me in like 3 minutes. But it still counts as a title reign or run. Still counts as that.
Mm-hmm.
But that used to happen in smaller territories because you had to. You didn't have time for this damn 400-day run because people said, screw it, give us something else. So, but anyway, what else is the news?
Oh, we're sticking with this for a couple more bits. CM Punk has already declared his intention to be one of Cena's opponents. Cena has also recently praised The Miz as maybe the most underrated person in WWE. We can get into the Miz thing at another point. I just wanted to bring that. But I think Miz is probably going to be one of Cena's opponents for his last run. What's the best way to handle... How would you handle his retirement then? So let's say it's his final match. Let's say it's on a big pay-per-view. Who would...
The final.
Let's say it's the end of 2025, the big pay-per-view, I don't know, Survivor Series, let's say. That's a big pay-per-view towards the end of the year. How would you book Cena's retirement? I mean, would you even have him win? Who would be his opponent?
No, I would have him win. I don't know who his opponent. Can't be the same opponent every time he wrestles. But it's got to be, I think, an opponent out of his past. Randy Orton.
Ooh, that's a good one.
See? Yeah. And Orton could go out there, and I'd love Orton to turn heel on it and say, hey, I'm about sick and tired of this damn retirement crap. He says, you won't have to worry about retiring after this because you won't be able to walk, let alone get in the ring. Anyway, something like that. And I think on his last match, I think that's when you need the real. It needs to be like a 30-minute segment or a 20-minute segment where he's covered from the start to up to now, and you make it a show of its own. It's actually a pay-per-view of its own. Basically, it's a pay-per-view within a pay-per-view. And that's why I like it, because it books itself. I mean, the work's done. The work's already on the videotape, and all you got to do is pull it off and repackage it, reprogram it, clean it up a little bit, and you got it. But I really like the retirement run. How can you mess that up? But hey, wait a minute, we're in wrestling. We can find a way. So,
well, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, because just last week we were talking about the greatest send-offs of all time, and then Cena miraculously, sort of like in good timing, a couple of days later said he was retiring. But we brought up a few examples. I think it brought up the Great Muta and Jushin Thunder Liger, and I told you how they retired. It was exactly like Cena, about a year in advance. Last tour ever. The last time you can see so and so in the ring here, and they were both great successes, and big in-ring presentations, and it was a great deal. And then lots of people were saying, in fact, Tony Khan himself said Sting's retirement was the greatest of all time. And we all agreed, or us two agreed, no, it wasn't. Because they didn't even promote it from town to town. The last time you can see Sting in Delaware or something like that, And it just basically, there was one match, they announced it many months in advance, but then they didn't take advantage of it. And probably the same with Bryan Danielson now. He's announced about a year in advance, he's done towards the end of this year, and they just really haven't made that big of a deal about it.
Not a knock on Bryan Danielson, but he doesn't compare to Cena at all. But I do remember a big time, and when he won that title, was it in New Orleans?
Mm-hmm.
Man, and I was there, and it was a huge, huge deal. Now they're going to make a mint mint, a mint, just off the merchandise on John Cena. I mean, I don't know how they're gonna come out with the T-shirts and the photos or whatever, but I think he will top. I think he'll top Cody Rhodes for a one night, at WrestleMania. I think he'll top Cody's record. Cody did a record like almost over $1 million cash, not cash, but in a one night take $1 million. And I think Cena will beat that. I really do.